Dr. Vieira calls highly problematic convention process. So it seems like a no-brainer to pick which one to pick. I mean, they pass statutes up at the State House all the time. The details of the connection between enforcement and no amendment. And Hal held up this JBS New American Magazine article before, Levin's Risky Proposal, and I'm going to quote one phrase from the end of this article that we distributed to the legislators in all 61 states. The solution is to educate the electorate and enforce the Constitution, not to change or ignore it. And he repeated that. It was in the graphic, attached to a graphic, and it was also in the last paragraph of the article. And I have several JBS, New American Magazine articles. The New American's been leading the way on a lot of issues. Really, they really have, and I really like that magazine. Here's just a couple of titles. States should enforce, not revise the Constitution. Repair versus restore. Why the Constitution doesn't need an Article 5 fix. These are all done by long-term professional writers that work for the New American.
Yeah, Joe Wolverton is actually an attorney.
Yep. Larry Greenlee.
Larry, yeah.
He writes there all the time. And there was another glossy that was a reprint. Dangers of a Constitutional Convention, another New American article. And then I come down to the Dr. Vieira article last September, which came out after Mark Levin's book came out. I think Mark Levin's book came out in summer.
August. I think it came out in August.
Late summer?
Of 2013.
And Dr. Vieira, there's a 6-page commentary on newswithviews.com, which they have a lot of really good writers, scholars that all publish in there. It's for free reading, short commentaries, easy to get a hold of in 10 minutes of reading. And I'll quote a couple of phrases from this article by Dr. Vieira, and the title again is Enforcement, Not Amendment is the Answer. So remember I said in the article, Levin's Risky Proposal, a Constitutional Convention, the solution. So they mention solution, which and Dr. Vieira mentions answer. So essentially the same meaning. And I've got it reprinted here in my speech that I've been using at the State Houses. This is Dr. Vieira, quote from his article. The all-important question remains to be, exactly how are new amendments to be enforced? Question mark. America needs a solution, and that's the word that Wolverton used, solution. That can be put into operation right now, simply by the passage of a single statute in each state. So, until these relatively simple actions have been taken in at least one state, Dr. Vieira asks, why would any prudent person want to eschew them in favor of a highly problematic program aimed at a new constitutional convention? So that goes back to my statement, that flat out, that these other high-profile people promoting a con, they're off point because they're ignoring these enforcement mechanisms. And I'll give you a few clauses from the Constitution that are the enforcement mechanisms. And first, let me go to the root of the what Dr. Vieira is asserting, and what is the purpose of government? The purpose of government is the end. The purpose or the end of government is the common defense of life, liberty, and property. And that's well documented. Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Samuel Adams, Frederick Bastiat, all very famous scholars and philosophers from the 17th century up through the 19th century. And the phrase, provide for the common defense, is in the Constitution's preamble, It's also in the first clause in Article 1, Section 8, provide for the common defense. So in the preamble, it's a purpose. In Article 1, Section 8, it's a power. Okay, that's what the government's supposed to be doing. And the most explicit enforcement clause that's in Article 1, Section 8, it's a power, and it's an institution. It's mentioned in 6 places in the Constitution. And we the people are all the able-bodied of we the people are supposed to belong to this institution. Well, we were disbanded from it about a century ago. But what it says is, well, the preamble, let me preface that. The Declaration and the preamble to the Constitution both say, and the state constitutions say, we the people are the supreme authority, under God. The next level under God is we the people. We're above all the branches of government.
Correct.
Local, state, federal. Now, that,
So for a reason.
the clause says, in clause 15 in Article 1, Section 8, it says, this institution that we the people belong to are to execute the laws. That's the title of my first book, Execute the Laws to Restore the Republic. And that's where I got the title. And I have it in quotes and then an asterisk. And so execute is a synonym of enforce. So there we have the mechanism where we that are able-bodied are supposed to be the last line of common defense to enforce this.
We're the boss.
To enforce
That's
this.
right.
And,
We're the
and,
boss.
and the Constitution incorporates the Declaration. If there wasn't a Declaration, you couldn't do the Constitution.
Well, that's what Samuel Adams and the rest of them said.
Right.
They weren't happy with just having a declaration of independence. They said, this is the proof for abuse. Let's write something else here with the Constitution.
Now, getting to the there is no law or guidelines for any Article 5 convention, as we're speaking right now. As I mentioned earlier, in 1979, there was an attempt to make some laws at the Senate level, the U.S. Senate. They were never passed. And even if the states had a meeting prior to it and agreed to something, it's not legally binding. They can go to that convention and they can throw everything out. Congress can pass a law and they'll say, you know what, we don't like this, we're going to do it a different way. They may have a guideline, they may agree to it, but there's nothing in writing. Then you ask yourself, who are the delegates? Who will they be? How are they chosen? Will there be an election? Will they be chosen by the governor? And if you look at a state like Massachusetts, are they going to choose me or you? Or are you going to have someone like Ed Markey showing up? Maybe Ed won't be there, but people that think like Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren. My guess is that the great and general court will send people who want big government and want to get rid of this thing. Else they're going to send. Who's going to pay for this?
Did you ever pay